We had a pretty interesting experience where with my older son, Jack, we had seen the Ricky Lake documentary, The Business of Being Born, and I had read some of the Ida Mae Gaskin books, and we together had decided that we were going to try a home birth. My mom actually, when she had me, gave birth at St. Luke's Roosevelt in the birthing center. And she was 38 when she had me. I was born in 1980. And so having, a very hands-off labor with a midwife to her was really normal. And so I kind of was like, I can do that too. And then, we sort of took it a step further where we thought like, okay, and why not? We'll try it at home. We did all the things that we kind of wanted to do to get ready for that. We had a midwife who lived on our street, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I knew that it would be long and painful and that there's not really anything you can do to prepare for that because nothing else feels like that. But I figured that I'd do it, like that it would be crazy and hard and whatever, but I would do it. But what ended up happening was like so off left field, and so nothing could prepare you for it that, I mean, it was like night and day. I went into labor, my water broke at home, but my child had turned transverse. And so there wasn't really anything stopping his umbilical cord from kind of falling out through the birth canal. And so, and this is very rare, but I mean, so I was at home, my water broke, and we were kind of getting ready for our home birth, and I was on the toilet and I felt something slip out and I didn't really know what it was. And my husband kind of had walked by the bathroom door, and he had been doing his own prep for kind of, what to do for helping out during labor. And he, in a book that he was reading, it had said like the worst thing that could ever happen, the one real true obstetrical emergency is called an umbilical cord prolapse, when the umbilical cord, falls out and the baby loses oxygen because the cord is being compressed. So he walked by the bathroom and just very casually asked like, hey, like you didn't feel the umbilical cord prolapse, did you? And as soon as he said that, I was kind of like, oh, something has happened. And I stood up and the cord was looped out like 12 inches. And his face just was shock and horror and, realizing what this really meant. And I didn't really realize what it meant. I thought it meant I needed a C-section. But I was like, oh, I need a C-section. All right, like, fuck. But, it is what it is. Not like my child's life is like imminently in danger. So he called our midwife who lived on the street. She ran over. She said, call 911. We had two sets of, emergency people kind of come. One person, anyway, and so they were trying to, the midwife was trying to get the baby off his weight off the cord. They flipped me over onto, like a board to kind of carry us downstairs. The nearest hospital was 2 avenues away. We were rushed there, and we're told it took 9 minutes from the time that we were rushed through the doors for the whole C-section. Everything took 9 minutes because they were trying to save his life. But he had sustained too much damage and was on life support but wasn't going to recover. So yeah, I mean, this idea of having this nice home birth and being home with our child, and for this kind of emergency C-section, they fully anesthetized me, and so I wasn't even awake and I didn't really understand what was happening. And then when I woke up, I was very cloudy and was having a very hard time remembering anything. So I kept asking my husband, did we have a boy or a girl? And I think I knew pretty quickly how terrible and irrevocable everything was, but it just took a really long time for that to set in. And so like our whole life, like everything we had thought about moving forward, being parents. Like, I had essentially just left my job. You know, forget about how the birth itself went. We just were like ground zero for like a bomb just exploding and destroying like everything we had been excited for. So we kept him on life support for 9 days, and we took him off on the ninth day. It was also hard because I developed an allergy to the C-section scrub, so I got this crazy rash and I had a fever, so they couldn't release me either. So like part of it was that I was still in the hospital for, which made it easier in terms of like we were all in the same hospital. There had been talk when it first happened. They thought perhaps they could transfer him to a hospital that did something called brain cooling, and that maybe that would kind of help. But when they brought in, specialists, they realized that the situation had progressed beyond where that would do anything, and so we were all in the hospital together. And I also ended up having a blood transfusion, which helped with how I felt. If you could, care about how you felt at a time like that. But yeah, so we were both in the hospital for 7 days, and then we went home by ourselves for a couple days and went and visited him at the NICU. And then we planned to kind of take him off life support on the ninth day. And that was our introduction to parenthood.